Have you ever been in a room full of people that you don't know and you have no idea how to relate to them? Today we're discussing how to have a conversation with anyone. And we're starting right now. What's up guys, I'm Andres Perez and this is Bioman TV, where I share with you everything you should know not only to be a competent man, but a confident man. If that's something that interests you, make sure to hit subscribe. Something you may not know about me is that I'm an introverted person, not to be confused with a shy person. A shy person is someone who, although they may want to speak to people, they get anxiety doing so, even just thinking about it. So as an introvert, I didn't always want to speak to people, whereas an extroverted person loves to speak to people because that's how they re-energize. But that's not what we're here to discuss. Today, we're here to discuss how to have a conversation with anyone. Now, the reason I mentioned the introvert thing is because I didn't used to talk to people very much. Pretty much the way I made friends was I would sit alone, somebody would approach me, and we became friends after that point. However, as I grew older, I began to understand the importance of building relationships, of building a network. Because of how I said on the previous video, if you want to move up in your company, then management needs to know who you are before you even go into your first interview. Now, of course, having a network is going to help you more than just getting promoted. It definitely helps to have people who are knowledgeable in areas that you are not. After you have made your introductions, you're going to begin with small talk. Now, small talk is very surface level, boring, back and forward kind of talk. But it does serve a purpose. The purpose is to find common interests. Because if you're able to find that, then now you have a topic that you can both relate on. Now, a tip to further the conversation is to ask them about their opinions. This may be the first time you're meeting a person, so don't ask something super controversial such as, what do you think about abortion? Yeah, no, that's gonna make them very uncomfortable. Instead, ask simple things. Let me give you an example. So you start off with a small talk, hey, did you watch that new movie, Wonder Woman? In which case they're gonna answer yes or no, I wanna watch it, that kind of stuff. If they answer yes, then you know you have a common interest already. The same kind of movies. But you follow it up with, so what'd you think about it? And this is gonna give you a little bit more insight about who they are. Because some people like a movie for how good the graphics are, others for the fight scenes, others to see how closely it is to the original comic books. So all that's going to give you a better understanding of who the person is. But I am going to say to try to get away from the small talk. So whether or not you've been able to find mutual interest at this point, try to get them to talk about themselves. Although you can ask them about their work, I would try to stay away from that because most people don't like where they work. Instead, try to understand what their passions are. And you can simply ask. So when you're not at work or at school, because they may be students, what do you do with most of your time? And whatever they answer, roll with it. If you're lucky, they are going to tell you what their passion is. It's like, oh yeah, I do karate, or I ride my bike, or I make YouTube videos. I'm going to give you an example of what time I did this. So I was talking to a work buddy of mine, and I found out that he collects shoes. So at the time, this wasn't something that we related on. But rather than just saying, oh, okay, that's cool, and leaving it at that, I dug deeper. So I asked him, so how many shoes do you have? Well, that's a lot of shoes. I only have like 3. Well, since you have so many shoes, how much do they normally cost? Well, being that they're not cheap, why do you do it? What about collecting the shoes is enjoyable for you? So as you can see from the conversation, although it wasn't something that I have a common interest in, I still shared a little bit about myself. I told him that I only have 3 shoes, but this is something that sticks out in his mind. Since usually people don't ask anything further. If you don't have an interest, usually people just drop it. So this is how you stick out in somebody's mind. Make a meaningful conversation out of it. He got an opportunity to talk about his passions, and it's not something that he usually gets to do. In fact, later on, it came out that I went to college and studied psychology. So once he realized it, he's like, that's why you're asking me so many questions. One thing to keep in mind is that people usually are not going to remember what you talked about, but they're going to remember how you made them feel. So, if you do small talk, then it was boring. And they're gonna think you're boring. So they're not really gonna want to continue talking to you in the future. Now, my last tip is to remember the details, because it happens sometimes where you have like a 30-minute conversation with somebody and you don't even know their name. Thumbs up if you've done this before. And you probably don't remember their name because it was all small talk. It wasn't a meaningful conversation. If you manage to get them talking about themselves, make sure you pay attention, remember their name, and remember what it is that they said, what it was that they were passionate about and why. Those are going to be the most important things. This shows that you actually cared about them enough to pay attention. Bonus tip to those of you who made it to the end of the video. Try to learn a little bit about everything. That way it makes it easier to keep the conversation going. See, if you at least know the basics, then at the very least, you know what they're talking about. Guys, make sure you're subscribed so that your man card does not get revoked. I'll catch you guys in the next video.